Hey everybody, it's David. Happy New Year. You see, it's something a little bit new. We're going to do a bunch of new stuff this year. And so you can see behind me, I have a bunch of things up there. All the paintings that we did last year. A lot of the paintings that we did last year. And this year we're also going to do, besides beer, we are going to do other drinks. But tonight I have a beer that's going to be, it's another beer, but we are going to do like, I just picked up a couple of things like a vodka thing and seltzers and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to have a great new year. And let me just start out with the like, Lagoon, Laguntina, Lagunitas, little something something. So we'll see. That's what the brewery company is called, the Guntas. And so let's see. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Like I said, we're going to do other drinks besides beer because I'm running out of places to get the beer. But let's see what this is like. Cheers. Happy New Year. I'm going to give that. That's pretty good. So I'm going to give that about 9.5. Very good. 9.5 paintbrushes up to 11. And 11 because that's my favorite number. Anyways, so what are we going to do today? So today we're doing one color study. And the one color study that we're going to do is more about teaching you today about thumbnail sketches. I'm going to work a lot about design these next 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to be talking a lot about design and about what the difference is between a value study and a thumbnail sketch and a composition and all that kind of stuff. And if you're new here, I'm going to put across in a second where my website is and where my supplies are. And we're going to start the new year right and try the other thing. And actually, you can see Legion Papers right there. I set this whole setup up and doing a whole new setup because I have to do like a 10-minute thing for Watercolor Live and for promoting Legion Papers and all the papers they have. So everything back there, everything is a Legion paper. Anything from this is Yupo, this is black paper, this is Stonehenge. So it's all new. It's all going to be kind of new. So let's go right away to my website. And so that is here at BeckerArt.net or davidartbecker.com. And so that you can find everything we're doing and sign up for my newsletter that you can get on Tuesdays. Everything's right down here. You know, you go down, here's you can buy my brushes. And all the products I recommend are right here. This is where I recommend products that I'm using. You can just find them there, and there's usually just links to get there. And in our supplies, I got to change this, but I'm gonna have a whole different page and stuff for my supplies that I'm using and stuff. And but we are going to use the Stonehenge Aqua today, and we are using our Holbein watercolors, and same thing with our brushes, my brushes, which you can get on my website. And so that's all the same. And let me see who's all here. Oh boy, a lot of you are here today. So starting off the new year right, because I really want you to learn a lot today. This is going to be all about composing your thing. And so let's go right to our value study, and I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. So I did the little thumbnail for this one right here, and you can see the thumbnail is different from a value study. A value sketch is more the values you're going to be using. The thumbnail is more of the big lights and darks, and so you're not getting exact values of the image. You're making everything black and white, like the Nutan that we talked about in the end of last year. And so we're designing the image between the black and the white. Not like a value study. A value study is more the exact values you're going to use. These may not be the exact values you're using. It's just the big design of the whole image and seeing where if your placement of your big lights and big darks and create a nice value sketch, and also a good center of interest. And so this one was very simple, and we did it already today in class. And I went over it, and I said, this is just a small little thing. This is like maybe 2 inches by 3 inches. And basically, the really fast, and it's not about the drawing. A thumbnail is not about the drawing and how good you are as you're drawing. It's about the design of the picture and the light and dark pattern of the picture, because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a picture with good pattern, not being that the middle tones, like a value study shows you middle tones. A thumbnail just shows you the black and white pretty much is what I like to do. Yes, you can do a little bit of the gradation. It's a little bit, but that's not what's important about the thumbnail. And so here's what I did, and this is very simple. The background is light and the object in front is dark, and that's very simple composition and very easy to paint. And I usually tell my students, beginners especially, do a sunset scene because everything in the back is light and everything in front is silhouette dark. And so last year we started out with a lady on a bench that was silhouette. This year we're starting with a horse and a lady, or you can make it a man, whatever you want, and put him on the horse and also we're going to change a few things around, like the background here. If you look on here, the background of the picture, the trees back there can't be as dark as what is in the front. So I determined that that will be in the light. Even though it's a middle tone, it will be in the back, and so that's all light. So we're going to be talking a lot about design today, only because this is so important. In the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking a lot about this and creating and learning how to create a nice picture, a good design element. And I do want you to do a value study, a thumbnail, not a value study, a thumbnail sketch. It takes you about maybe a minute to two, and it's not about the drawing. You can see my horse has two weird legs on it. So it's not about the drawing. It's about your big, large values. And so let me just take this. I'm going to show you a picture here. Let me put this picture in there. So here's a scene. Let's just take these mountains, for instance. And so let's do a little thumbnail of if we were to do this painting. So we're just going to take, again, very small, maybe in 2 inches by 3 inches, make a little rectangular shape. You can do this with pencil, you can do this with marker, you can do this with brush and with your little brush marker, whatever you want to do it with, you can actually paint it too. And so basically, real quickly, what is my big values on this? And this is like, let's say we're outside and we don't have a place to make it black and white like I do normally with my value study. And I show you the value study and I make it black and white, and you can do that with your phone. But this is just doing it in real time. And so here is the river, goes through there. And then the river goes back this way. And so I'm not looking at the drawing exactly, kind of close, but I'm not worried so much about the exact drawing of this. I'm looking for the big shapes of light and dark. So here's a mountain and there's a mountain. And then we have a big mountain in front here, our big tree in front here. Okay, now we're going to shade it. Now we're going to figure out if this is a good value pattern. So let's decide. The two mountains in the very distance, those are going to be part of our light, right? Those are part of the light part of your image. So I'm going to make them middle tone, but light. Very light, because the middle tone can also go to the light or the dark. And so I can put a little middle tone there. Then this mountain is pretty much dark on the top, and it kind of goes from a dark to a light. So I'm just going to really quickly do a little bit of dark and make it go down to a light. And so, so that's that. And then we're going to do this mountain in front, and this one's really dark. This one is almost black, but it doesn't matter. I want to make it, even if it wasn't really dark like this, I would make it really dark because that's part of my dark part. And because I don't have to get the exact value in a thumbnail, I'm looking for the big black and white. So I'm not looking for the exact value I'm going to use. I just want to see if I'm using this as a notan, making it black and white. So these middle tones I use back there, I didn't have to even put those in. But it's just a little bit right here is pretty dark, and so I can put a little bit of that in there. And this dark is going to be part of the dark and not part of the light. So the middle tone, these middle tones will be part of the light, so I left them lighter like the sky. And then over here we have some trees that's really dark. And then we have this whole section right here that's dark. Now how long did that take? Maybe a minute or two. And so now, is this a good design? Does it work as a design, the big elements? And I know there's a bunch of trees in here. There's a bunch of stuff happening in here and a bunch of stuff happening in here. And when I go to paint this, I would not make it this value. I'm not going to make it all black, but this area is the dark parts of your design. And so that everything in there has to be darker. Even the lightest dark in here has to be darker than the lightest dark in the light area. So they have to separate those two. And it doesn't mean, let's say I only want to make this dark, maybe like a 5. Let's say I don't want to go past the 5 gray. That's what I want to use up here. Then I just know that everything that this is going to be, then the light area has to be lighter than that. And so I can make my darks any value I want. And that's where a value study would come in. then you can actually do a value study and figure out the exact values you want to use for something. And even a colors design. Watercolors usually have to do some kind of designing before you start get going. So it's always good to, I do this in my mind, I do this in my head, but as a beginner, you should be knowing what you're going to be doing before you put down watercolor onto your paper. And so basically, these blacks that I have down here with my really 8 pencil, this is a woodless pencil. I had it in the newsletter this week. I purchased this whole little set of 12, and there's like 12 little pencils in there. They go from HB to 8 or 10B, which is really soft, which is I'm using right here. But anyways, that's these darks that I'm doing here don't have to be this dark. They can be, let's say again, a number 5 value, but then all the river and all that has to be even lighter to separate those from that. So you just have to always realize that this is the value pattern, the large value pattern. It's not the exact values of the scene. It is how you separate your lights and darks and see if it's going to work out as a pattern in your picture. Because if you have things all over, let's say you're doing a scene where there's stuff all over, and it's, you know, a road and there's stuff, and there's all kinds of stuff all over, and people and this and that, and everything is either light or dark, and it's all kinds of stuff all over the place. Well, that doesn't make for a great pattern because there's stuff everywhere, and it's all between lights and darks. So, and again, this does not mean that every painting you do has to be like the silhouette we're doing today. You can keep that silhouette. Actually, you can do this and not make that black. Don't make the horse really that dark. You can make it a number 5 value, but everything else has to be lighter than that. So that's the design of the thumbnail. That's why I'm doing thumbnails right now, is I want you to pick out the big lights and darks and make them definite, no tan. Like, that's my dark, that's my light. And the middle tone, you have to decide on which one it's going to go. Is it going to go to my light area, or is it going to go to my dark area? And I could have put some middle tones in this dark area here, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to make that my dark area. And that's kind of a neat scene. Look at it. We have the river running right through the middle here. We can even put some people right here to make some, you know, details and stuff. But that's not what it's about. It's about the design of the entire thing. All right? So that's it. Let's get on to our painting here. But this is going to be a pretty simple painting, and the fact that we're going to talk a lot about this. So here, again, is the scene. And so if you look at this, the horse right here is my dark, along with the reflection in the water and the water below, and the sky up here is kind of like a middle tone, and it's kind of dark. I'm going to put a little bit of dark up there, but that's still part of my light. And this back here, the land, you can do whatever you want back there, but you're going to have to make that lighter because that looks like it's part coming out of the chest of the horse, you know, and it looks like he's eating something in his mouth. So that you want to push back. And so that, if you made that dark like it is, then the design is not that great, because, and also the center of interest is together with what's behind it. You know, so that I'm just going to tone that down. I'm going to tone it down and push it back and leave it all the way in the back. All right, let's go to our tabletop and get going here. So this afternoon I used orange. And so, and when I say you can use black and white also, this is orange, but then I added black to the orange to get my dark orange. So it's still just one color, but like I said in my newsletter, that you can also use black and white. That's okay. I didn't use any white. I spattered some white with my brush. I spattered a little bit over here, but that was just a little bit. This was just the lights, and see how I made the background, those a little bit lighter. I could have made them a little bit darker, those things back there, but I didn't. And so this time I don't want to use orange again because somebody used blue. That was really cool. And so I want to use blue. Joyce in my class used blue, and it looked really cool. And so I'm going to use blue. And I think, again, you can do whatever you want in the sky. You can do any kind of technique that you want in watercolor. And I'm using Stonehenge 300 pound, and I'm going to do it 11 by 14 because that's the standard size. And so I drew it up. And to draw up, if you're new here, you either trace this image, you know, take it and get yourself some not tracing paper, the transfer paper. Use transfer paper, get the size to the size that you're painting, and trace it if you need to. They have the Da Vinci eye, which I had there's a on my YouTube channel, subscribe, and there's a whole video on how to use the Da Vinci eye. But get your drawing in there really good. This is the part where you do want to have your drawing good when you do it on the paper. The thumbnail sketch doesn't matter about your drawing, but it does matter here because that's number one most important thing is your is your drawing. And now this picture, the horse's legs are really, you know, all over the place, and I don't think this looks really right over here, but I'm just going to spatter and make that out of focus, and so I'm not too worried about that. And so we're gonna actually, I'm going to spray the back because I didn't mount this yet or anything, so I'm just going to spray the back. I'm going to spray it with water so it lays flat. And if you're using 140, I would highly recommend this, and don't tape it down if you're using 140-pound paper. So I'm just going to put that down in the right spot so you guys can see it. And now I'm going to wet the whole front because I'm going to do the whole front. I'm going to do the whole thing wet in the wet because I want all soft edges. And if you're new here again, I wet the whole paper to get soft edges. That's wet in the wet is how you get soft edges. Hard edges you get when it's dry. That's simple. And so let me have another sip of this beer. It's 9.5. It's very good. Cheers, everybody. And now I got to look to see if you guys ask any questions because I got so much to do today. I got to go up a little bit. You guys are been talking here. Hold on one second. Let me just go up. Oh my gosh. Okay, I did the thumbnail sketch. Thank you, Barbara. Sue. Hello, 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 hello. Maria, James, Marcia. All right. Thanks for the background. Yeah, I love the lesson on design and thumbnail. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right. Carbon paper. Carbon paper works too. Now, carbon paper you cannot erase. So, but for practicing purposes, that's fine. Graphite paper is probably better than carbon paper, but carbon paper works too. Hey, Kathleen from Florida. I'll be down in Florida coming in end of this month. I'm gonna be down in Florida. So there's still one at the Villages and one in Villano Beach. So those two places near St. Augustine. All right, so let's go on. So I just wet it. I'm gonna wet it again because I don't like just spraying it because when you spray it, it doesn't soak in as much. So I like to take my brush and push it into the paper, the water. I'm gonna wet the whole paper because everything is gonna be lighter. My value study, not my value study, my thumbnail says that the horse and the reflections and down here are dark. Everything else is lighter. And what you do with that light area, it doesn't matter. You can spatter it, you can use salt and make it a neat watercolor wash. I'm going to keep it really light behind the horse because I like what it has in the value study. Like the value study is still a values, and that's a light to a dark, you know, in the light area, it goes from a light to a dark. So that's the light area, which is fine. And I'm only using one color, so I'm not following these colors on here, though I am using blue, but I'm not going to put the yellow in there. If you want to do it with two colors, that's fine, but just think about the values. That's what we're doing about today. That's why you're using one color. And I'm going to use peacock blue. I'm just going to use peacock blue. I know Joyce, she had used phthalo blue, which looked really cool. But I don't have phthalo blue. I have Prussian blue, but I don't have phthalo blue. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to go around and keep these parts light right by the horse. I'm going to keep the white of the paper. And one color studies are fun because you're not thinking about what colors you use. You're thinking about the values you're using. That's what I wanted beginners to start thinking about. Just worry about the values. Get the values right. Get them to where you're looking light to dark. And I'm not going to put that line in there until later, the background leaves back there, or trees back there, because I don't need to. Oh, look at this. I have a line in here. Wonder what that was about. Up here, we're gonna go dark, and like I said, you can add black or white to your image, to your colors, because if you're using a light color, let's say you're using yellow, you know, it doesn't get very dark yellow. If you're using like something like that, like a Hansa yellow, you're not gonna get very dark with it, and so it's gonna be hard to get that look of dynamic light. Though you can do it; it's possible, and you just have to make sure that the background is lighter than the yellow that's in the horse. And that would be a high key painting, but I'm going to add black to my blue, and I'm going to get a little bit of that in up here. And like I said, make the sky whatever you want. You don't have to make it smooth like this either. It's smooth in the picture, but this is where your artistic license comes into play. You can do whatever you want. You know, have fun with it. go in there and, spatter. You know how I like spattering. Just do that if you need to. Now make sure that this is still my light area. So spatter with light, not with black, like I just did. And that's going to dull down anyways. Or put clouds in there if you want. Do whatever you want. If there's a certain technique you want to try, that's wet into wet, soft edges, and you want to maybe throw salt in there just to make a really cool background. Do anything watercolor-like that you really like. That's what this is. Once you figure out that this whole area has to be light, then you can figure out what kind of technique you want to use. What is it about this painting that's going to be different from every other painting that we see? So show me something different so that yours stands out differently from everybody else's painting. We're doing a very simple composition. It's just the horse and the lady and the guy is light or dark, and everything else is light. It's that simple. And so down here, I'm going to go from a dark to a light up this way. And you notice how I went right to the horse, because the horse is just going to be dark on top of the light. And it's going to be hard edge, so I have to wait for it definitely to dry. And I must have had a piece of tape or something there, because I can see I ruined the paper somehow. I have something across there. But it'll probably go away a little bit. But watch your papers when you have your papers and when you're storing it. Watch that you don't put stuff on it. And so here I'm going to do light to dark. And since the light is right here, I'm going to do a little bit that I didn't do this afternoon, was put some light reflecting down in here. I'm just going to pull out and take a thirsty brush, put my brush on to my towel here, and just pull out some of the light, like a reflected light. So there's a little bit of light coming down through here too. I didn't do that. I just didn't think about that this afternoon. I'm very excited about you guys doing this and learning how to design your paintings. I mean, I talked a little bit about it all through the end of last year. And so really worrying about that no tan and trying to lights and darks. And I really want you to get that. I really want you to be able to, when I'm not there, be able to do your painting. Because I notice a lot of you don't think about the values. I can see that in a lot of your paintings. I'm seeing that you're looking and you're getting the details and you're getting the drawings okay and stuff, but you're not looking at the values. I can tell when somebody doesn't look at the values. You're just basically painting the scene, and you're looking at the colors of the scene that you're worried about, but you need to know about the values. It's part of the number one thing in design. It's not compositionally, it's composing your picture, but it's also just, it's like a big picture of how to knowing that you're going to have a pretty decent painting. So I'm going to put a little light through here. I'm just going to kind of give it a little texture. If you want to make this solid like the photo, go ahead. I'm gonna make it a little bit, I'm going to splatter a little bit. I did the nice clean thing this afternoon. I want to see, I did like a nice clean thing this afternoon where it's all clean and fresh. I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time, because you're allowed to. You can do whatever you want as long as you get the right values. I want to suggest that once you get the right kind of look that you want, just worry about the values. And that's going to be a little bit darker up here, but this is going to be really dark. And so I can do whatever I want when it comes to designing or how to create a neat wash of water. And adding spraying water on there kind of gives it kind of a textury look. It's kind of neat. I like that. And I also maybe want to make her look like she's really moving, like she's really, so how about some brush strokes like from here, just going like, ooh, she's moving. This is really, she's moving through here. And it is a lady on there because I see the hair, but then again, the guy has long hair too, but I'm going to have the hair flowing back here. And this is one time I can't use orange because we only use one color. So here we go. We're going to put a little bit of blue here. Like, see how it's like moving now? It's just coming across. And then I put a little bit of dark underneath them already. Spatter a little bit here because it's going to be, the water is frothing up and frothing up, or whatever it's doing, splashing up. Cheers, everybody. Happy New Year. So it's been cold in Florida? Uh-oh. It better warm up by the time I get there. All right, so normally I don't like doing horses. I can't draw a horse from my imagination. And I am working on a book now to help you guys learn how to draw from your imagination. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, to finally finish that book. I've been working on it for years and years and years. And now see, I splatter a little bit. I want movement. I want things to happen. And so now I'm kind of just, I have to wait for it to dry. So I'm going to force dry it really quickly with my heat gun. It's actually a stripper. It's a paint stripper. And it makes your paintings, you don't want to do this to your paintings. You don't want to use a heat gun like this for your paintings. But since I'm doing it, it's quiet and it gets it dry really quickly for my videos. So we're just going to put this on really quickly. And like I said, it's not too loud, you know, it's just there, but I can get this area done really quickly. Almost dry it instantly because it's so hot, it's burning it. But this way I can get going and I can just... I did this once for the, I was testing for Legion Papers. I was testing their new panels that they put on, and I actually like almost lit it on fire. I had it so close, but I did it on their Yupo paper. But this is not something you want to do, really. You don't want to do this. Let it dry naturally. Look at it. Go have a drink. You know, come back. Don't do it like I'm doing right here. This is just because I got to dry fast. And also, it gives it time. If you let it dry naturally, it gives it time to have the watercolor do its thing. It gets soft, and the soft edges keep on flowing. And so, if you get salt on there, you wait until it kind of soaks in. So don't force dry it like I am doing this. This is just because of my video here. I just need to get this dry so I can keep on going and get it done within an hour. Hey, Linda from Tennessee. Well, yeah, the Da Vinci Eye is pretty cool. Give it a try. If you have problems, you know, let it either there's a lot there. You can watch a lot of videos on it and stuff. And I had a couple of people use it in my class and use it in the class on Saturday mornings, and it's pretty cool because it's not that hard. Once you get it used to it, it's pretty simple to be able to trace your image or your sketches. All right, so now I'm going to take my smaller brush and I'm going to go in here and get the background first. Because now that was my first wash, right? That was my lights. That's basically my light. All my lights are done. The background's done. The water's not all the way done, but it's pretty close. And now I'm gonna get the background, and that's a kind of a middle tone. Now I have a line right here. So this afternoon I made it higher the land because I didn't want it to look like the horse is eating something right there. But it's gonna be so light that it's gonna be hard edged because it's dry. But because the contrast is not there, it's not going to be dark like the photo is. So it'll look like it's way in the background, and it'll look soft edge even though it is dry, and I'm going to get a hard edge. See, I'm just going to use a little bit of paint and go right into the horse. Don't worry about the horse. The horse is going to be really, really dark. So I'm just going to go in here, get that. And if you need to make a straight line and really, really defined, I had that here. Remember this thing? Go to the Dollar Tree and get yourself one of these for $1.25. It's great to be able to paint a really straight line. So if a really straight line, go like this. Just boom, boom. You got a really beautiful straight line. Very simple. Again, it's $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. It's in the hardware section where like hammers and whatever they have there. They probably don't have hammers, but. So now I'm going to go in here. This is more of a tint. This is not much pigment in there. I'm going to tint it a little bit more. And I'm just going to, you do what you want back there. It could be a mountain this time. Maybe make little mountains back there. Little molehills. No, it's just whatever you want back there. Really, anything you want to do back there. Make it light. Don't make it contrasted because then it'll come forward. I can make it a little bit darker than I have it here, and I can actually make that wash also something. I could put salt in that wash to make it a certain look. Once you get the values figured out and learn how to do washes a certain way, then you decide on what kind of wash you want there. Do you want a wash to be just wet in the wet? Do you want to float your pigment? Do you want it to be, have salt, texture? Maybe it needs texture in there. Do you want to put more than one color in there? Not today, because this is a one-color study. But you do what you want. And there's so many different kind of watercolor techniques. You decide, you know what the value is going to be. Now you decide on the technique that you want to put in there. That simple. There's also at the Dollar Tree, you can also just get a plastic ruler. They have 3 of them in a package for $1.25. It's or if you have any kind of straight edge, it's just that you can just draw it. This is metal. It's kind of nice because it's really hard edged, and I just paint right on top of it for hard edge. I mean, it's probably the cheapest thing I bought for art supply, $1.25. All right, so there now. Look at that. I got the whole background done. It's like a little lake, and I don't have to worry about the colors because the colors are the color I've been using. This is the peacock blue. I'm using peacock blue, and it looks like daytime instead of sunset, but that's fine. And I know it's going to look kind of weird that the horse and everything is going to be also really dark blue, but it's going to look fine. You're going to see, because now I'm going to mix black with my blue. And when you're doing this now, you can make the sides, like where the sun is right here, you can make that almost solid blue. And then you can do up here almost solid black. And like black mixed with the blue is a blue black. And so that's how come I'm letting you use black, because I want you to get the full range of values, because we're going to be talking a lot about values in the next couple of weeks. And I really am designing your values first, and then we can go into designing of like with color, and let's worry first about getting you guys to start learning how to think of this as values and getting those values in there. And if I see that you're not doing the value study, or not the value study, but the thumbnail, I'm gonna bring it up. I say, come on, it takes about 2 minutes. Just put it in there. I know maybe you don't have to worry about the drawing, just to get your mind around it and look and make you think about how you're going to put down your paints, because it all depends on how you're going to do the painting by what the values of everything are. Because I always say start out with the lights and then go to your middle tones and go to your darks. And if you don't know what those are in the painting, how are you going to know what to start out with first? So you notice I'm going like right down here. What's important here is the outline of this person. Inside the wash is again a beautiful wash of pigment, and how you want to do it. Do you want to make that texture? Do you want to make it soft? Do you want to make it smooth? Do you want to have a kind of watercolor look where there's a beautiful where you get those little lines in there? Make some parts thicker. And do you use solid black and let it drip down? Do you put it on an angle and let it drip down? That's when the ladies did that. She had it drip down, and it looked really cool. I mean, it was this different kind of style again. So that's where the style comes in. The actual way of painting the values is up to you, how you paint it. As long as you know what values you're supposed to use, then do it any way you want. That's where the creativity comes in for account, and how you paint. That's what makes it your painting instead of somebody else's painting, is the way colors you chose, the wash, the way you did it. Did you add salt? Did you spit on it? Did you, put alcohol ink on it? Did you use something else? It's all up to you. Once you know the values, once you know the value pattern. And I noticed that next week I found this artist on, where did I find it? It's on, I think, on Pinterest. Oh my God, this person does beautiful, beautiful, tight paintings, but they're just gorgeous landscapes, and super tight, but just beautiful. I don't think I could do because they're so tight, but they just have the way he does his watercolors are just so clean, and they're not very. He doesn't use darks this way. It's more high key, his stuff, and so it's pretty neat. I can't wait to show you next week. It's going to be in my newsletter. So get my newsletter, and it's going to be in there, this artist. Just really amazing landscapes. Oops, don't go into other blue. Just take one blue and black. And now what's important here is the outline of all these things. His outline of his ears. The hair, you notice I didn't put the hair in and the hair here, because this brush, I'm going to use my rigger brush and make that flow really nicely. With this brush, I need a new round one. This one's getting kind of worn out, and so it doesn't come to quite as nice a point. Still okay, but I like the rigger brush for that, because it gets really sharp. You notice I'm wetting it, going down, and letting that float. Then I let the pigment float in there, and if I feel it's too blue, then I put a little black in there, make it darker. And even some of this pigment separates. It seems like it's separating a little bit, and that's kind of cool. When it gives you those little fingers of separation. And then maybe parts of it, I can add blue. I said I could add white, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the paper as the white. And then down here, right where the sun is, I'm going to make that like lighter blue. So it looks like it goes from a light blue right to a dark. So it's like optical scatter. I talked about optical scatter where it looks like it's burning. It's so bright, it's just the blue, and it goes right to black. Or a dark blue. And then again, I'm using peacock blue, and I'm using black, and I'm using peach black. So the peach black is a little bit warmer than a other blacks. See how that's blue? That's really blue right there. And so it's going to look like the sun is just right there beating around the horse right there. Let's make that blue again. And same thing, I should have done that right here too. So how do you make a color lighter? Just don't add as much pigment to this, and don't add black, and use the white of the paper, the transparency of the paint, the transparency, because this is watercolor, it's transparent. Use that as a tint, and that'll get the light blue, because the white paper is going to show it as light blue. It's not thick, it's actually very thin, and then you add it a little bit thicker to make it darker. And I'm doing the inside because the sun is right there and there. I didn't quite get it as nice as the picture. The picture is a little bit darker here, but oh well, you can't have everything. Now, could I go back in there and make this all darker? Yes, but that's hard. You know, try to get things going in the beginning. And I'll show you how I'm going to do a little bit of lines in there. And so this back leg, I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. I'm going to make that more blue, more of a tint. A tint will be more transparent than a big wash. Oh yeah, Sue, a couple splashes of beer on it. I didn't even think about that. That's awesome. We should try that. I've never tried that. We're gonna have to try that one time. It's too late now, but I should put some beer in a spritzer and see what happens when you do a beer. Oh, see, you just gave away your new secret. It could have been yours. Now it's gonna be mine. Thank you, Sue. And actually, next week I've got this vodka spritzer thing or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of drinks now in a liquor store, and so I thought, well, I gotta try everything. We gotta try a little bit of everything. Hopefully that doesn't have too much alcohol in it. You also want to be able to paint with seeing. And so, see, I'm just doing the horse's legs. I'm going to kind of do them kind of dark. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about what colors you want to use. Because I know a lot of beginners have a hard time with picking out, oh, what color I use, because they have to look at the picture and they're trying to copy the picture. And if I did it like this, where I had the orange and back there, this would have been so hard. I mean, it would have been harder to do if you're doing like the picture with the scene the way it is. And I don't want you to do that right now. I first want you to just pick one color and do it one color. And now we're going to go in here and let's do a little wispiness for the tail. And then the splashiness of the water here, I'm just gonna dab. I'm gonna go up and down like this. I'm just gonna dab it in there because it's water splashing up, so I don't have to be really careful with it. And just go in there with a little bit of light blue, light peacock blue. Peacock blue is actually a beautiful color. It's just amazing color for a blue. Of course, me and how I love my purples, and I'm surprised that I didn't do this in purple, but we got to change things up a little bit. It's a new year. We got to try things, a little different things here. So have fun this year. We're going to do a lot of painting. We're going to try to get you guys to learn how to design your own work, your own photo. I want you to start designing them and show me some things pictures, and show me the big value pattern that you're going to make out of it. I want to see you guys using thumbnail sketches. It's very simple. It's almost as simple as using your phone and turning it black and white, right? Almost. Actually, it's easier than that. If I were to do this as the colors of orange and yellow, well, that's what I did this afternoon. I kind of used just orange, but you can use more of a yellow, like a yellow. This is the red orange. Use more of a yellow orange, and then just mix black to it. That's what I did right here in the horse. I just mixed black to my yellow orange. To my red orange. I used the red orange. You use the yellow orange. No blues though, just the orange. You're only allowed to use one color. No, Dave, it isn't a granulated pigment. I wish it was. Yeah, it's ground so fine that you really don't see granules in it. Ultramarine blue is more of that. If you want to get granules, use more of the ultramarine blue. But no, this one doesn't have much granules in it. I was even thinking of trying some of the pigmented by Daniel Smith, but they didn't have anything bright colored. They're not very bright colors. And I saw somebody that did phthalo blue with this, and it looked great in class. And so I really liked the blue that they were using. All right, so now let's go with a little bit of, I'm going to tap. I'm just going to take a little bit of, how much time do we have? Oh, we got plenty of time. So we're going to do a little bit of scumbling here. What is scumbling? Just taking your brush, like a dry brush, and just kind of putting it in here with more of a tint. And what is a tint? A lot of water, hardly any pigment. And so for way back here, I'm going to do a little bit of the like reflection in the water. Just going to do a little reflections in the water, a little bit of texture, just to get a little bit back there. And put a little of this back here. And now is the time I can maybe get rid of some of this light over here too and make more waves here. And if you're doing waves, they have to be horizontal. You know, you can go on an angle, the wave, but you have to make your lines all nice and horizontal, nice and straight. Otherwise, it looks like it's on the hill, the water, and you don't want that. You just want to go back and forth, little waves here. And where the horse is plowing through the water, and actually it's spraying a little bit of water in front because it goes forward. When it's spraying, it's rushing through this water here. And then we're going to do more reflections. These are the dark parts of the wave. There's waves in here. Usually water has three different values. The back of the wave, the top of the wave, and the front of the wave. And this is usually, right here is the front of the wave that you're looking into. Like you're looking into it, and then you have the, explain that to the side. So there's the top of the wave, the bottom, the back, and the front. So if you're looking at the wave, this part is dark. The top of the wave is light because it's hitting, and the back of it is just a little bit darker, not quite as dark as this area here, because here you're actually almost looking into the water, so you're seeing down through the water here, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense a little bit. And so down here it's going to be a little bit darker, but let me first put in my reflection of the horse into the water, and that's going to be with blue and black, the same color as the horse is, and it's just reflecting into the thing. Now I'm going to break up. I'm not going to make it look like a mirror image. I'm going to break it up a little bit, and so there's a bunch of lines, and I'm just going to bring it down and just break, and not lines that go back and forth, but they can go at an angle back and forth. See, like this one, I'm trying to mimic the shape of what's above it, kind of, and then make little lines. And then because it seems like I have a little bit more down here, I'm actually going to put the horse in there a little bit. This is going to be a little bit darker here, and so I can put a little bit of the horse in there too. And maybe this is the head. Maybe this is the head right here. And so I can just make this a little bit darker. Put little lines there. And then this is going to go right about, let's see, that goes this way, goes this way. And draw this in. If you need to, draw it in so you know where you're going with this. Best thing to do is draw it in. And drawing is the number one, remember? Drawing is the number one most important thing. So if you got the drawing, if you don't have the drawing in there and you need it, draw it in there again. Like if you lost it because you put a big wash on it, redraw it with a pencil first. You need to have the drawing correct. And look at that nice reflection. Doesn't that look like a nice reflection? And then let's put the Brigger brush and give me all the hair, all the flying hair. And I'll start out with the light flying here. So I'm just going to, look at that. Look at that. Comes back. The tail on the horse, it looks really, in the picture is just terrible. It doesn't look good at all. And then there's a big dark behind that looks kind of weird, like that could be part of the horse. So that you're going to change. because it doesn't look good in the photo. And why paint it the way, if it doesn't look good in the photo, it's definitely not going to look good in your painting if you trace it, if you copy it. So that for that, you want to change things, make it your own. And same thing with his or her hair. I want somebody who has long hair that's flying back. And the same thing with the horse. The horse has, this hair is going to be flying back. So it looks like it's moving. I mean, this horse is flying across. I want to make it look more like it's flying than the picture shows. Maybe she has a scarf on. No, she doesn't. Or she got her hand out there. She could be saying "wahoo," you know, with the hand in the back. Where's my picture? With the hand in the back, she can have that behind her, even like she's just driving like crazy, riding like crazy. Just a little bit darker. This seems to be a little bit darker. And in here, don't show anything. Don't show like where the horse or the lady's leg is or anything. Don't show that. Make it just. It's not important to show that part because it's not about unless you really know how it works and how this lady is on there. Because if you do, then yeah, okay, go ahead and do it in there. But you don't need to. Because it's the outer edge. It's the silhouette shape that's really important in this. Hey, Cindy from Minnesota. Is it snowing up there yet? Does anybody have snow anywhere yet? How would you have treated the blue portion of the sky before you go into the sunset colors? Wait, also, how would you have treated the blue portion? Well, if I were doing this with the colors of the sunset from orange to blue, that is a hard thing. Like I said, that would have been, you'd have to go through and do the light first, but that the yellow is going to make a green if you put blue in there. So that's just something you have to practice on, doing wet into wet and learning how to do from a yellow to a blue. And you probably have to let them float themselves together, if anything, because those two colors make a green. If you have the yellow, orange, and the blue, so then you just have to let it kind of mix itself together. So yeah, it's that you have to practice. That you have to that kind of if you're using two colors in that you have to practice because that's a hard thing to do. Now the tail is way too wide right there, and so I'm gonna pull I'm gonna suck some of this out here because it got really thick right here. So I'm just gonna pull that so it shouldn't be so thick right there. So I'm just gonna take a thirsty brush and rub a little bit of that out of there. And the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do big waves going across here, like the bigger waves. Did I miss any questions? No, not yet. All right, and so we're gonna go across here. And we're just gonna put some bigger waves, you know, and go right through here because the light part of it is reflecting the sky, the light part, and then there's the dark part that you're again looking straight onto. And so I'm just gonna keep these going right here and make it a little bit dark. It's kind of nice to have this little dark down here. And these are hard edges, so because I don't have it wet, so I'm going to get hard edges, which is fine. You can make it stiller, more still. You know, you can, if you'd like. Little waves. Let's get a little bit too dark, so I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. You can also pull out or put white. You can take white or just like here, I'm just going to pull out a little bit of the color. Like just like soak it in, have a thirsty brush and just pull it back out of your paper. Get some of the light lines in there. And then this seems to be a little bit darker right here. So a little bit of reflection of this. Because even splashes have reflections. There's a reflection of the splash below it. Wouldn't the value in the background near the horizon line be darker also? This part, the line could be a little bit darker, but again, I wanted to push back. I don't want to see that, so I want to keep it back there. And I could make this part a little bit darker. It seemed like it's almost too light. I can make it a little bit darker right here. And that's like, because usually the shoreline has a little bit dark because it's a little bit darker here, but not too dark. Not like it is in the photo, because then that comes way too far forward. That's just way too far. It'll look like it's part of the horse. You don't want it that dark. And the last thing I'm going to do is spattering white, because I love spattering. So. And I remember on Sunday, I think it was Dave was asking me about my studio, and I'm going to show you my studio and how it's set up. I'll be doing that as soon as I clean it up a little bit more and get it more to where it's actually going to be. I got the background, and like I said, I'm doing a video for Legion that's going to be 10 minutes long to identify their product, and then try yellow ochre and cerulean blue. I use an M Graham paints, and I've gotten a good transition between those two colors. I also wait until the yellow is almost dry until I add the blue. Cool suggestion, Dave. Try that. Try that, Charlie. All right. Thanks, Kathleen. A little bit darker. That pulls it a little bit. You don't want it as dark as it is, though. I just think that's just too dark. It's just too dark. And even if I were using different colors for the background, I could do that. What I could do is I could make these trees more of the yellow and keep them back there. It could be just as dark as they are in the photo, but make it a different color, because that's a whole different thing. When you start using color to make things go back and front, you can use that too. But for this one, I don't want you to do that yet. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's start from using values first, because values, I want you to get really good at values and learning how to use them to your advantage. And then later on, you can add color to help that out to even more. Because it is fun using color to help you out, and using certain colors together. Like even what David said. Dave said, it's neat to use certain colors. Certain colors work really well together. So that's a good thing. Okay, I said I was going to spatter a little bit of white, and then almost put it in my beer. Wow. And so I'm going to take a little bit of white. And you can also highlight parts with white too. Like, let's say, remember I wanted that little light going through there? Let's use my round brush for that. Remember I said I wanted to have that little light shining through and hitting the waves, which I took out, and now I've covered over them, but I can put them back in by just adding white paint. And I would suggest, I'm going to get a new palette. Hopefully I'm designing one, a plastic one this time. And so I do have the palette where I have little separate things I can put around, but I want to have two whites, one for mixing and one for pure, because I always have to go back in and get my pure white, because I'm always mixing my white into something. And so I'm just going in here, making it kind of hit the tops of the waves. I even do dots because I'm going to be spattering to make this light coming down through the bottom here, to the bottom. If you do dots, do a lot of them, not just a few. Do a lot of them, because it sparkles. Water sparkles, and when I tap it, it's going to be really fun. And so I'm just going to take this. Oh, I just got all over the horse. Oh well. Let's go a little bit back over here. Yeah, horse reference. I figure, it was a neat one, so I thought, oh, what the heck. And it's not the inside of the horse, it's just the outer side, and that was pretty easy to draw. So again, here, look at all these little dots here. Spray and stuff, and look how fun that is. A little up here. Like I said, you can make it sparkle too, and you can even put a little bit of light on like her hair and the tail, because some of it will light up a little bit here, and I can actually do that with some of the hairs. And maybe the rein, a little bit of the rope that she's holding. Don't get crazy with that, though. Don't get too detailed inside the horse. All right, I think I'm pretty much done here. And also what I want to do is I want to start having frames ready because I don't use the tape any longer. And so now I don't ever get that nice little thing. So I'm going to get a mat board that I put on there. I can just do this a little bit, but I can move it over to the side a little bit to get a little bit of the angle. But so there you have it, guys. I think that's about it. Wait a second, a little bit darker. My reflection didn't turn out very dark. So I'm just looking at it on my screen and I didn't see the reflection as much as the horses here. So let's make that just slightly darker and then we're done. And for another nice, beautiful start of the year. And thank you guys for coming. So many of you came today. And thank you, Maria, having everybody tap the like button. That's also awesome. And share the fact that I'm doing these with your friends. It's all free and we're starting from the beginning. So good time to start. Good time to start painting. One color. Next week it'll be 2 colors. But to this week, just keep it to 1 color, and black and white are part of it. You can use black and white. All right. Any last questions? Nope. So if you're down in Florida at the end of January, let me know. And if you want to take a class there, I'm running the one in Villano Beach. If you're going to take it at the Villages, go to their website, and they're taking care of that. So go to the Villages website, the villagesartworkshops.com, I think it is. And Villano Beach one is on my website. There's a page on my website. Just click on where it says workshops. Click on that workshop, and it'll take you right to that page. And sign up. And I'll see you in Florida then. But until then, do this 1 color study. Do your thumbnail sketches, all right? Do the thumbnail. And that's what I want you to do. All right, and also do one that's not this horse, because that's a pretty simple value study or a thumbnail sketch. Is pretty simple. Do one that's a little bit harder because I want to see that you can do that. All right, so cheers, guys. Here's to a great 2024.